So we already talked about the visibly sweaty and orange Donald Trump bragging to a Colorado Springs crowd about his followers essentially being cultists. I want to take a few minutes now to mention more generally that at that same rally in Colorado Springs and at the following one that he did in Las Vegas, Nevada, Donald Trump looked and sounded more unwell than we've seen in a really long time. And the things he was saying were concerning. The way he looked was concerning, and the way he sounded was concerning. And people are noticing. The International Business Times reported Trump reportedly looks bad at Vegas rally. POTUS suffering from mental, physical decline. A number of other articles asked essentially the same questions. Let's look at some examples from two events. Again, it's the Colorado Springs rally and then a Las Vegas rally. Trump, again, visibly sweaty, very red. Upper Trump in Colorado Springs, downer Trump in Las Vegas. Maybe Trump arriving sort of late East Coast time for the Colorado Springs rally, maybe needed a little something to get him going for that one. Wouldn't be surprising if he was giving himself a boost with something. Check out Trump, unable to read his teleprompter in the context that the speech is written, slurring about the Rocky Mountains, making no syntactical sense here.
Beautiful place beneath the majestic peaks, that's true, of the Rocky Mountains with thousands of terrific, hardworking, great American patriots.
Trump then started wildly reading totally out of context numbers with no reasonable inflection where you can even understand what on earth this guy is talking about.
Nice one. Look at this. Look at this. Trump 70%. Next one is 18%. Next one is 7, 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. Trump didn't do well in the debates. See, they're fake news.
Then Trump slurring and attacking someone, not exactly sure who.
Now I feel good. Now I feel good. She's a third-rate journalist. Let's go. We're standing up in defense of our Constitution.
And then Trump started mixing up conflicting conspiracy theories, which was really weird. Try to understand this and look at how he takes like 2 or 3 words from different conspiracy theories.
And, you know, we're working with a cloud. We're working with these people. They want to take you out. They want to change the results. They got caught spying. Let's say it like it is, right? They got caught spying on our election fake news. Hey, fake news, take your cameras for a change and show them the room and show them behind you. Go ahead, show them the room.
The cloud spying, fake news, election, like it's completely dissembling in front of our very eyes. Then he starts talking about Mayor Pete, and I guess now he's referring to Mayor Pete as Buddha Touch. Buddha Touch. Listen to this.
Alfred E. Newman, Buttigieg. Little Buttigieg. I said, I've had you up to here. They had little Buttigieg leading Donald Trump in Texas, these people. But very close. He said, it's too close to call. This is a poll where Buttigieg. So a friend of mine from Texas, a big, powerful, strong guy, real Texas, he's got the cowboy hat. I'd love to wear that hat. I wouldn't have to comb my hair so much. I wouldn't need hairspray, right? I'd love those Texas hats. I don't know if we get away with it in Washington. That's why I live, right? But I love them.
Then Trump really struggling to say the word statistics.
I'm telling you, within a very short period of time, you're going to see some statistics coming out on one. Statistics. I got to do it right. Otherwise, they'll say, what's wrong?
I like that. Statistics. So this is already bad enough, right? This is Colorado Springs. But then we go to Las Vegas and things get even worse. Trump trying to talk about some healthcare plan he was supposedly going to do already, but then it never happened. And he sounds like a used car salesman. Notice that Trump in Vegas, this is now downer Trump. Trump in Colorado Springs was upper Trump, red, talking quickly. This is now downer Trump talking about we're going to give you brand new pre-existing. Now you might be saying there's got to be some other word missing there. Yeah, but Trump's talking about brand new pre-existing.
Obamacare, but we're going to terminate it. We're going to give you your pre-existing 100%, otherwise I won't do it. We're going to give you brand new pre-existing, and we're going to have a great health care that's much less expensive.
Then Trump mocks Joe Biden for his stutter. That's a disability. It's like mocking someone for having diabetes.
And Biden is angry. Biden is angry. Everything's anger. Gee. Like, and that's what happens when you can't get the words out. No, it does. That's what happens, right? When you can't get the words out, you get angry. You get angry because you can't get the words out. Might happen to me someday. Can you imagine if that happened to me? Man, would I be a bad guy?
And then this is the height of megalomania. Trump claims and maybe believes that if a plane crashed with 700 people on it, media wouldn't cover it, but instead they would talk about Donald Trump.
You know, cable was supposed to be obsolete, and now they're doing the highest numbers they've ever done. If an airplane goes down with 700 people, they don't cover it. If it's not Trump-related, they don't cover it. It's got to be Trump or Trump-related. So if a plane goes down and it's total devastation, if a ship goes down, if the Titanic equivalent went down, they wouldn't cover it unless I was on the sucker.
And then, of course, the capstone, the slurring begins to take place in Vegas. Remember, Trump was upper Trump in Colorado Springs, Trump downer Trump in Vegas, and downer Trump often does the slurring.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing President Alfred E. Newman. But see, nobody knows because you're all too young. Nobody knows who Alfred is. It's Mad Magazine.
It's very bad. It's very bad. And people around Donald Trump are continuing to privately sound the alarm. And at this rate, if this continues, the debates are going to be something else. It will be like nothing we have ever seen before, no matter who the Democratic nominee eventually is. I presume that upper Trump would be better for the debates than downer Trump. And so we would expect more the Trump that was in Colorado Springs than the Trump that was in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let me know what you think. I don't know what to make of it at this point. So Donald Trump, you have to see this. Donald Trump said during a strange press conference in India that he said a lot of different things. And I want to review some of the highlights, or maybe I would call them the lowlights with you, because there's just so much here. And where I want to start is that Donald Trump asserted that 2 Supreme Court justices should recuse themselves from any case that in any way involves Donald Trump or his administration. It's Ruth Bader Ginsburg, because she didn't support him in 2016. Therefore, she should not be allowed to be part of any decision at the Supreme Court that has anything to do with Trump or his administration. And then Sonia Sotomayor should also recuse herself because of an inappropriate comment she made, which Donald Trump, when asked about this, won't actually cite or name. This is a couple minutes of video, about 90 seconds. Let's take a look at it together.
Mr. President, you just addressed coronavirus, so I will put that aside for the moment. You tweeted about Justice Sotomayor yesterday, saying that she and Justice Ginsburg should recuse themselves from future cases dealing with the administration. What is the basis for your opinion on that?
Well, it's very obvious. I mean, I always thought that, frankly, that Justice Ginsburg should do it because she went wild during the campaign when I was running. I don't know who she was for. Perhaps she was for Hillary Clinton. You can believe it. But she said some things that were obviously very inappropriate. She later sort of apologized. I wouldn't say it was an apology, but she sort of apologized. And then Justice Sotomayor said what she said yesterday. You know very well what she said yesterday. It was a big story. And I just don't know how they can not recuse themselves for anything having to do with Trump or Trump-related. The right thing to do is that. Now, as a Supreme Court justice is a different standard, but at the same time, I think it's a higher standard in a certain sense. So they'll have to decide what to do. But her statement was so inappropriate when you're a justice of the Supreme Court. And it's almost what she's trying to do is take the people that do feel a different way and get them to vote the way that she would like them to vote. I just thought it was so inappropriate. Such a terrible statement for a Supreme Court justice.
What was inappropriate about the statement? I'm not an attorney, so I can't really look into
the
these.
Statement was, John.
She seemed to criticize the White House for running to the Supreme Court at the drop of a hat to seek a
No,
stay.
I don't think that was it. But I think what she did say is she's trying to shame, the way I look at it, she's trying to shame people with perhaps a different view.
So understand that on this basis, Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch should recuse themselves from any case involving Donald Trump and his administration because Trump selected them. How could they possibly be unbiased interpreters of the law? How could they merely apply the law to the facts when they know that they are only there because of Donald Trump? If the case has to do with Trump or his administration, they should recuse themselves as well, right? And the point I'm trying to make is that you can't have it both ways. Either the personal opinions of judges don't matter. They are simply conduits that apply the law to the situations and the facts that come before them, or they are biased partisan actors whose biases have to be sort of monitored and babysat, and they must be pulled off of any case where their personal lives intertwine with the facts. If it's the former, then Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sotomayor are allowed, of course, to be on the court when the cases relate to the Trump administration because Gorsuch and Kavanaugh are allowed. If it's the latter, then any justice selected by Trump would be too biased to be in on a case that involves the Trump administration in any way, shape, or form. It's illogical, as are most things involving Donald Trump. Continuing on with the press conference in India, I got many emails from people saying Trump appears to be high on something during this one. That's not unique sentiment. I don't know. We don't know at this point what the guy is on. Trump at one point was asked about Harvey Weinstein. Trump has partied with Harvey many times. But when asked about the Weinstein guilty verdict, which we'll discuss on today's bonus show, Trump says he was never a fan of Harvey, doesn't like him. And sorry for the poor audio. So some of these clips have very, very distorted audio. I apologize.
With the DailyMail.com, I was wondering, do you think justice was served in the Harvey Weinstein case?
So I was never a fan of Harvey Weinstein, as you know. In fact, he said he was going to work hard to defeat me in the election. How did that work out, by the way? I'm trying to figure that out. He was a person I didn't like, never liked. I don't know too much about the case because, you know, between traveling and being at meetings almost every hour of the day, every minute of the day, I haven't been able to really see too much of it. But I was just not a fan of his. I knew him a little bit, not very well. I knew him because he was in New York. Not a person that I like. I will say the people that liked him were the Democrats. Michelle Obama loved him.
So definitely downer Trump at this press conference doesn't like Harvey Weinstein. Then Trump got into the phase of the press conference during which he brags about war crimes, saying that we took oil, not oil and gas. We took oil from Syria and we have soldiers guarding the oil.
Al-Qaeda last week, you saw what happened there.
Absolutely.
So nobody's done more than what I've done. But at the same time, Russia should do it. Iran should do it. Iraq should do it. Syria should do it. You know, we're in a different part of the world. We're doing it. Everybody says you're the only ones that can do it. Well, at some point, these other countries, Iran should do it. Iran hates ISIS, and they should do it. And we've done a great job. We've taken our soldiers essentially out of Syria, except for little hot spots that we figured, we'll do that develop. But we've taken the oil, and the soldiers we have there are the ones guarding the oil. We have the oil.
Now understand that every time Trump says we've taken the oil, he might be lying, like it might just be another Trump lie. But if it's true, it is considered a war crime. If U.S. troops or U.S. corporations take oil from Syria without Bashar al-Assad's permission, it is a war crime. That is called pillaging, according to legal experts, because the land and its resources doesn't belong to us. It belongs to Syria. Now, I don't like Assad, but if Trump takes oil without Assad's okay, that is pillaging, and pillaging is a war crime. Trump regularly admitting, if he's telling the truth, to a war crime. He might be lying, though. Then it gets really funny. Now, I'll tell you, I am concerned about coronavirus. It's serious. We're now up to more than 80,000 cases that we know about. China may be hiding tens of thousands of additional cases. 2,700 deaths as of this morning. 2,707 was the official death toll as of this morning. But Trump is a hypocrite on coronavirus, just like he's a hypocrite on most things. Back in 2014, during the Ebola scare, which had a huge political component and it evaporated the day after the 2014 midterms, Ebola was used as a proxy to attack Barack Obama. And in fact, Trump did this, tweeting back in 2014, quote, Ebola patient will be brought to the U.S. in a few days. Now, I know for sure that our leaders are incompetent. Keep them out of here, in all caps. During this press conference in India just hours ago, Donald Trump hilariously had that tweet read to him by a reporter and was asked, coronavirus patients are coming to the United States. Isn't this a double standard? Listen to Trump's answer. Again, I apologize for the audio breakup. Some of these clips, just something wrong with the recording. It's not on our end. And Trump wildly claims that back in 2014, no one had even heard of Ebola, which is obviously untrue.
On coronavirus specifically, Mr. President, in 2014, when the Ebola situation was very concerning to so many Americans, you tweeted, Ebola patient will be brought to the U.S. in a few days. Now I know for sure that our leaders are incompetent. In all caps, you wrote, keep them out of here. More than 20 Americans have now been brought back to the United States with coronavirus. By your own measure, does that mean that your government has been incompetent?
No,
are you pleased with the response?
There's a big difference, in case you don't know, between Ebola and coronavirus. Big difference. It's like day and night. And I felt that we should bring them back. They're Americans. We should bring them back. With Ebola, it's very explosive. It's very terrible. We're making tremendous strides on Ebola with the things that we're doing, as you know.
Isn't some of the money that you're requesting? Sorry,
let
please.
me answer the question. But there's a vast difference in around 14 or 12. And at that time, nobody had ever even heard of Ebola or ever conceived of something where you basically, people would disintegrate. And we're still working on Ebola.
Listen to that. No one had even heard of Ebola in 2014. What is he talking about? These are the sort of off-the-cuff rants of an ignorant madman looking to justify his own hypocritical behavior. Now, the reality is, yes, Ebola is different than coronavirus. Ebola has a higher death rate than coronavirus, but coronavirus is passed. It's transmitted much more easily because coronavirus can be passed through the air, through droplets, sneezes, coughs. Ebola spreads only through direct contact, so it's much easier to transmit coronavirus than Ebola. I'm not suggesting that Americans with coronavirus not be allowed back into the country. What I'm pointing out is Trump's hypocrisy. And really the difference is Obama was president when it was Ebola. Trump is president now when it's coronavirus. That's really the only difference. So another day, another embarrassing press conference for Trump. As we showed you earlier, the India trip not going super well, a massive Indian crowd of 100,000 literally running to the exits, crowding the exits as Donald Trump spoke yesterday. That video is hilarious. The press conference is disturbingly odd. Another bad trip for Donald Trump, figuratively and literally, depending on your opinion of Donald Trump's possible drug use. Bad trip takes on another meaning. Let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter at @DPakman. Quick break. Back after this. I've been trying to prepare myself for this first segment because this is some of the funniest stuff that I have ever seen. Donald Trump went to India to hang out with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who actually shares some policy ideas with Trump. Trump doesn't want to fund dealing with climate change. Modi cut the budget for dealing with the environment by 50%. Modi wants to privatize the economy on a sort of neoliberal framework the same way that Donald Trump does. Many similarities between the two leaders. So Trump goes to India and Modi speaks and then Trump speaks before a massive crowd, embarrasses himself by mispronouncing so much stuff. And there's video of the crowd literally fleeing the stadium. Like the exits are packed. It's as if the Patriots are up 40 in the fourth quarter and the place is clearing out to avoid traffic. And the visual, it's like a horror movie. It's like a disaster movie where everyone is just running away from Donald Trump's speech. It's so embarrassing in every way. And let's go through it. It started off really oddly with Trump walking out into the stadium to the tune of the Village People song Macho Man. It's already weird. I'm not going to play that segment because I don't want to have copyright issues today. We had plenty yesterday, which I'll tell you about later. And check this out. This is very risky stuff to put on a teleprompter in front of Donald Trump. The name Swami Vivekananda. That's risky. And Trump, of course, refers to him as Kamundun. And it's just as good as it sounds.
As the great religious teacher Swami Vivekananda once said.
That's a doozy. I mean, like, why even put that up on a prompter for Trump, right? It's just relentlessly self-destructive. Then Trump mangles the names of two Indian cricket stars, Tendulkar and Kohli, and this is just so entertaining.
Where your people cheer on some of the world's greatest cricket players, from Sachin Tendulkar to Virat Kohli.
He also mispronounced Vedas, ancient Hindu religious texts, as Vestas, which is something else altogether. And then, of course, the place by the time Trump was done speaking was half empty or more because thousands, tens of thousands of people were running for the exits while Donald Trump was speaking. Trump, of course, trying to sell it as, I had a crowd of 100,000. And it's true. At the outset, it was very, very full. But the report from the BBC is that as the speech went on and Trump was making a fool out of himself, people started to get up and leave. And you can see in the video, a crowd formed at the exits. People could not exit quickly enough. And as you can see, if you're watching, the stadium ends up half empty while Donald Trump is talking. Can you imagine the BBC reporting, quote, crowds began leaving midway through the U.S. president's speech. Let's now check out the video with the audio, and you will see that as Donald Trump is speaking, the exits are crammed. It's almost like a bomb went off and everybody's trying. It's like the place is on fire and people are trying to get out of a crowded theater. People barely able to squeeze out as Donald Trump is speaking. Take a look.
Rich and poor, young and old, take pride in the glories of your past. Unite for an even brighter future, and let our two nations always stand together as powerful defenders of peace and liberty and the hope of a better world.
It's amazing. Just one laughing stock after another. It is truly, truly amazing stuff. And overall, a very embarrassing trip for the United States, Donald Trump being in India, as is often the case. I mean, it's often the case that when Donald Trump travels abroad, it's very embarrassing for the United States. And this is one of the things that, it's going to take some time. Once Trump is gone, there will be relationships that have to be rebuilt. The sort of, I don't even necessarily want to call it prestige, but the knowledge on the behalf of our allies and counterparts, geopolitical counterparts, they're not all allies. Their knowledge that they are dealing with a real diplomat, someone that can be trusted, someone who understands things. That's going to take some time to rebuild a lot of those relationships. And the next thing I want to talk about is the wacky press conference that Donald Trump gave. I guess it would be sort of this morning India time during this trip. Let's talk about that next. It has been a very long night and day here at the David Pakman Show, one bleeding into the next. You have no idea what we've been dealing with since about 9 p.m. last night until very late this morning. I'm sort of in disbelief that this is going on, but I am going to report to you today that our coverage of last night's Democratic presidential debate on CBS was shut down midstream, jeopardizing our entire Twitch account and the revenue that comes with it. but the details here are what is sickening, and this is way bigger than the David Pakman show. The stream that we were running yesterday of the debate with our commentary and your participation was cut either by high-priced consultants hired by CBS to shut down independent media, or by some kind of right-wing troll group posing as representatives of CBS. Now, this may sound confusing, and it is, and I'm going to try to explain it to you as clearly as I can, because so much of this information is still developing. We're in the middle of an investigation. We're engaging lawyers. And as you can imagine, this is not what I want to be dealing with in the middle of one of the most important elections in our history. But this is how they win, by making me have to deal with this stuff. So sit down and get a load of this one. As many of you know, we do our debate coverage on Twitch, where we've built a nice following of close to 30,000 viewers. It's not 810,000 like we have on YouTube, but we have a growing and steady base of close to 30,000 followers on Twitch. Yesterday during the debate, about halfway through our stream, which at the time had close to 6,000 live viewers, a nice debate for us. We had a lot of great audience participation. It was a great alternative to the disastrous moderation that was being provided by CBS. Our stream was shut down, and I was notified that we had received a copyright strike. These copyright strikes do not expire on Twitch, and that means that we are now permanently one strike away from losing our Twitch account forever. The whole point of building up Twitch for the last 8 months was that the streaming on YouTube had become too risky, because YouTube is already in the pocket of so many of the large media companies, and they can shut us down anytime at the press of a button. So we started building up an audience on Twitch, and it became a nice source of revenue for us. So I get a message, and it says, "You've received a copyright takedown for your stream of the CBS debate." Now, my initial assumption was, of course, CBS started striking people doing commentary on the debate that they were broadcasting. But upon further inspection, it looks like my stream, Sam Cedar's stream, the Surf's stream, Trihex's stream, and a whole bunch of others, they were taken down not by CBS, but by a shadowy organization called Praxis Political Legal. If I look at the email I received, it says it was actually Praxis Political Legal who took down my stream on CBS's behalf. Now, this is already very odd, because a lot of the companies as large as CBS, they have an internal legal and copyright team that handles this stuff. They don't hire someone else. But when they do, they hire someone that you would be able to sort of find information about. And that's where this gets even weirder. Praxis Political Legal lists a contact email in the copyright takedown that they sent me. That email is praxispol.com. So I immediately emailed that address to see what's going on and to explain what we were doing and that, we want to have this strike removed. The email address does not exist. Praxis Political Legal lists an email address where when you email them, you get a bounce back that says address not found. So now it's starting to get really weird. Praxis Political Legal files a copyright takedown for CBS. Their contact email does not even exist. So then I said, well, let's find the website for Praxis Political Legal. When you go to their website, they claim to provide political consulting and legal services, but they provide almost no information whatsoever about who they are. And in fact, they don't even have their own website. They use one of these cheap single-page placeholder websites by a company called Card with 2 R's, CARRD. It's like a company that has a website that is companyname.blogspot.com. Very weird. We aren't able to find any real evidence that this company exists, at least under this name. So we have two possibilities here, and they're both really bad. Possibility number one is sometimes these hatchet job political consultancies, they deliberately maintain almost no internet presence, specifically because they focus on doing things that they don't necessarily want to be known for, like shutting down left-wing streamers commenting on a debate. So it's possible that it's a real company, that CBS really did hire them, and that's sick that if that's what's going on. The other possibility is because CBS has not in the past shut down independent media streams of debates, And because companies the size of CBS, again, often handle copyright stuff internally, not by hiring out, the other possibility is that this company is not really representing CBS, that they have fraudulently claimed to Twitch to be representatives of CBS in order to shut down streams like mine and so many others on Twitch. So either way, this is a crisis because, first of all, no corporation should have a monopoly on the platform that people can view a debate that is being used to decide who is going to represent the Democratic Party in the general election and who is going to be president ultimately if they are going to defeat Donald Trump. I've said it before, it's disgusting that one can monopolize something that is in the public interest, or supposed to be anyway, when the moderation's good, like a debate. It's disgusting. But if it turns out that this is a fraudulent group claiming to represent CBS and they're just lying about who they are, then Twitch has a real problem here. The contact email for this Praxis Political doesn't even exist. How did Twitch even set them up as an arbiter of copyright takedowns? What they do in order to shut streams like ours down, if indeed they are fakes, is falsely represent themselves to Twitch as agents of CBS. That's an issue, if that's the case, that Twitch needs to deal with, and YouTube as well needs to deal with immediately. Now, in the meantime, we've had to obtain legal representation because our Twitch account now is at risk. One more bogus claim, and our entire Twitch account is shut down forever, okay? So I hate that this is what's going on, but I think we have to fight it with legal services, and that's not cheap. We could do the minimum, which is like, I just don't do any more debate streams, and they win. Maybe we have to do that. I don't want to do that, okay? But if we get one more strike on Twitch, we're done. Like, that's it. Our account is done for good. Or we can get really involved, fight it. I want to do that. Get a lawyer, try to get these strikes removed, and figure out who is behind this company. So grab a membership. If this bothers you, if you believe that this is what we need to be fighting against at a time that is so crucial for our democracy, where we are trying to decide who is going to fight against Donald Trump, disinformation, propaganda, all of this stuff is happening. Grab a membership at joinpakman.com. Okay. I can't believe that I spent the better part of the overnight dealing with this, but it's where we are and we've got to fight it. So the coupon code 2020 now, I don't care if you discount your membership or not. Anything helps. It does. Joinpakman.com. You can sign up in under a minute. We're also on Patreon, patreon.com/David Pakman Show. Speaking to lawyers again this afternoon. I will update you sometime later this week. When Donald Trump is consistent on something, he's consistently inconsistent. And the stock market is a really good example of that. You can always count on Donald Trump to brag about how he's responsible for boosting the stock market on days that the stock market is up. You can also count on Donald Trump to either ignore the stock market altogether, or if he has to talk about it on a day when the stock market is down, blame it on someone or something else, never him. The stock market is very down lately. The Dow was down 1,000 points on Monday, 900 or so points on Tuesday, down a little more on Wednesday. And as of this recording right now, the Dow is down another 500 points today. This brings me no pleasure. You guys know, I mean, Republicans like to say, the left is cheering for a bad economy despite Trump. No, you should have seen me looking up my mutual fund account last night, and it was bad. It was really, really bad, and it's getting even uglier now. So what does Donald Trump do? He says, oh, yeah, the stock market crashed all week because of the Democratic debate on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, hours after the stock market had already closed on Tuesday. Now, remember, the market tumbled on Monday, but the Democratic debate was Tuesday night. The market tumbled on Tuesday, but the Democratic debate was on Tuesday night. Are Trump's followers this stupid, or is he the one that's this dumb? Take a look at this.
Do you believe the number of fatalities? Mr. President. You mentioned the stock market earlier. To go back to that, to be clear, the Dow Jones dropped more than 2,000 points this week. Are you suggesting that was overblown? Are financial markets overreacting here?
I think the financial markets are very upset when they look at the
Democrat candidates standing on that stage making fools out of themselves. And they say, if we ever have a president like this, and there's always a possibility, it's an election, who knows what happens, right? I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win by a lot. But when they look at the statements made by the people standing behind those podiums, I think that has a huge effect, yeah.
Isn't that just stunning that a president can say this and that there is not complete repudiation of the obvious absurdity of what Donald Trump is saying? Stocks crash Monday, and a Fox News guy named Charles Payne blamed it on Bernie winning the Nevada caucus on Saturday. Stocks crash Monday and Tuesday, and Trump blames it on an event that didn't happen until after that. After stocks had closed for trading those 2 days, the Democratic debate took place. I don't know who falls for this stuff, but somebody must, right? Because otherwise Trump wouldn't be able to get away with it. And then Trump just keeps blaming other people during yesterday's press conference, goes into talking about Barack Obama. And remember, this is a press conference, as we will later talk about coronavirus. And Trump is blaming Democrats for the stock market crash caused by coronavirus, and now goes into talking about Barack Obama.
What that is, because he's kept interest rates. President Obama didn't have near the numbers, and yet, if you look at what happened, he was paying zero. We're paying interest. Now, it's more conservative, and frankly, people that put their money away are now getting a return on their money as opposed to not getting anything. But I think, we're the greatest of them all. We should be paying the lowest interest rates. And when Germany and other countries are paying negative rates, meaning they're literally getting paid when they put out money. I mean, they borrow money and they get paid when it gets paid back. Who ever heard of this before? It's at first. But we don't do that. So I totally disagree with our Fed. I think our Fed has made a terrible mistake, and it would have made a big difference, as good as we've done, even without the 2,000 points. And we started off at 16,000, and we'll be at 28,000 without. We were going to crack 30,000. We have had increases like nobody's seen before, but we're doing well. But we have to watch. We're doing well anyway. In other words, even despite the 2,000 points, it sounds like a lot, and it's a lot, but it's not. It's very little compared to what we've gone up.
Obama was bad. Our Fed is bad, even though it's run by the person that he selected to run it. Everybody's terrible. Everything is to blame except for Donald Trump, who is great. And remember that even before this 2,000 plus point stock market tumble, Trump's stock market was already underperforming Barack Obama's. Those numbers are going to become even more skewed in favor of Barack Obama thanks to this crash, which I hate and take no pleasure in. I want to be really clear about that, because we don't play those games on this show. I'm not rooting for the stock market to crash. I'm not rooting for the United States to fail. Believe me, ask my girlfriend. She knows what's going on with my investments, and this is very, very ugly. No matter who is president, I don't want our stock market to fail. But blaming Bernie's win in Nevada and the Democratic debate and the Fed, give me a break. Is Trump some kind of time traveler that things that happen after the majority of the crash are to blame for the crash? It's horrifying that this is considered an explanation from the president of the United States, or an analysis to many of Donald Trump's followers. It does not bode well for our country that the president is even trying to say this stuff, obviously. Why does no one just say in the room, Mr. President, the things you're naming happened after the crash, not before? How is it possible that they are causally related? It's like saying a snowstorm that happened 2 days after a power outage is to blame for the power outage. How is that possible? How does that even make any remote sense? And of course, the bigger picture is that Trump is part of the market crash, but it's really larger fears, of course, about coronavirus, and we are not prepared to deal with it here in the United States. I really want to dig in more to this. We had a lot of reaction to yesterday's interview with Dr. Isaac Bogosh about coronavirus, and we have Trump's press conference from yesterday. He's putting Mike Pence in charge of coronavirus. The guy barely believes in science. So we'll talk about all of that coming up. For now, let me know your thoughts on Trump's stock market explanation. I'm on Twitter @DPakman.